that's the only information or techniques I could find about doing this facing, where they were jamming all these seam allowances in that corner. It was still giving me a real horrible corner, and I thought there's got to be a better way. So I made up this thing. Well, maybe somebody else did, but I figured it out on my own without a book. I think this is so cool. So I've got a corner. For the corner, I've taken a square of fabric and folded it wrong sides together. Now this does create a bias edge, and I'm going to talk about that in a minute. I've got 4 corners. And then I'll need, space here, so I'll take my 3-inch wide strip of fabric, fold it in half, wrong sides together to still get me that fold on the edge. And I'm going to put that on top. All I have to do is clear this. I don't have to take this strip all the way to the edge because I want to eliminate all the bulk in the corner. I'm doing this from the top side because I'm going to sew it and fold it around to the back side. So I'll pin this in place so that it doesn't shift. And I'll just start stitching 1/4 inch all the way around. I don't need a place to stop and turn it because I'm going to flip this to the other side. Now I will tell you from experience, when I do this and I leave this as exactly a 90-degree angle, this is the bias edge. It is a bias edge and it will distort. I can promise you that right now. So I've done this so many times that when I don't do what I'm about to do, I get a little tuck in here. I have to take a little tuck because I've got so much excess right here. So all I do is stitch down here, stop, pivot, turn this way, and this edge is nice and straight, but this edge of the corner, I'm just going to slightly pull it out. I'm just changing the angle ever so slightly. I'm coming down here. I'll trim it off afterwards. It just takes up that distortion or that little excess, just enough that I don't have to sew a tuck in it afterwards. So I do that on one side of each one of those corners as I go. After it's sewn down, I have to clip the corners, being extremely careful that you don't clip the seam that you just did. In fact, sometimes I will go back stitch over top of that seam, that corner, just so that when I get close with my scissors I won't blow that seam. So you want to clip that corner off, but you also want to clip it. Now I'm going to make this one really big so you can see. If I'm going to clip the corner, it would look like that, right? I would clip the corner off of there, but I'm also going to clip it more like that angle. So it's more than just the triangle coming out. I'm clipping more than just the 90-degree triangle out. I'm actually going to clip it back here, back there. Because when I turn this to the underside, I'm going to poke that corner out with my corner tool. Don't use your scissors because you'll blow the seam there. Use your corner tool, and you can push that right out. And because you've trimmed even more away, well, you know what I mean, right? Even when you fold it in, it's like it's a puzzle and it's going right back. It's not overlapping. There's no bulk in there. It's fabulous. It's really a great technique. When I turn this over to the underside, I'm going to roll my seam. Now, in my home ec days, my instructor would say, well, no, you have to stay stitch that. You're going to have to stitch that down. Well, I don't, because I don't want to see the seam on this side. But what I do, when this is, oh, I guess I need a pin or something, sew that around. Anyway, I will just roll this so that I get that seam right on the edge. You can see it on that red one, which is why it's a good idea to choose your facing color, the same general color as your front pieces, right? This one I've used red for my facing because generally the tops are red. Because you're going to see that fabric, you can't help it because the seam is right on the very edge there. Steam it with your iron, roll it, I would be working from this side. Roll it, and pin it in place, and then I just slip stitch, just like you would do a regular binding, but I just slip stitch it, and it's just brought to the back side. So the seam allowances are are in there. Clipping the corners means you get rid of all the bulk. You wanted to look at that? And it's nice because it's like a canvas finish. It takes the piece right to the edge. You don't have a final binding all the way around the outside edge, you know, like quilts do.